Hello and welcome back to this session. This is module 10 of the series on Google ADK. So today I'm going to talk to you about the big picture of agent development kit. Let me start by explaining the agent lifecycle. One of the rookie mistakes that a lot of us do is to start agent development without defining the goal and scope. Remember, in one of my sessions I was explaining how an agent is a digital employee. Just like you cannot hire an employee without a well-defined job description and a title, you cannot build an agent without defining the goal and scope. So it all starts with that. And once you have that in place, the second step is to whiteboard your agent and all its interactions. Now these interactions include users who are using an interface like web or Slack or Microsoft Teams, but some kind of UX that is responsible for interacting with the agent, and also external interactions based on tools, MCP servers, and A2A protocols. So you basically put the agent in the center and you visualize everything that it has to talk to. Once that is done, you go ahead and build the agent and various tools. Now these tools are responsible for configuring and connecting with external systems. For example, if you are building a customer support agent, you might want to talk to Jira and Confluence, so Confluence pages. So you have to create tools that will connect to these external tools or external environments. Once you are done with that, you go ahead and test it locally on your development machine using ADK Web or ADK Run. And then once you are comfortable with the agent running on your local machine, you will evaluate, and this evaluation might take you back to the whiteboard and you will have to iterate over these steps multiple times till you are convinced that the agent is doing its job. And once the agent is thoroughly evaluated and tested and ready for production, you deploy it. There are multiple deployment choices for us. We'll discuss that in the later slides. But what is very important while learning and mastering ADK is the way it is structured. So let me explain you how this works by taking you behind the scenes of the ADK runtime. The ADK runtime essentially has three building blocks. The first one is the runner. Now this is the orchestrator or the heart of the ADK runtime. That's the engine. And then there is execution logic, which you will write as a developer. You might use Python, Java, or Go, one of the supported languages, and you write execution logic. And then ADK runtime comes with a set of services that manage session, memory, artifact, and various other services. And since some of these services are persistent and long-term memory, obviously you have to connect it to a database like Postgres or object storage like Google Cloud Storage. So these are the core building blocks: the runner, the execution logic, and external services coupled with a persistent storage backend. Now, what exactly happens when you create an agent and run it? Well, the first step is the user interacts with the agent using the ADK Web or ADK Run command. You launch the UX and the user is now interacting. The very first interaction hits the runner, and the runner will create the session and adds the first prompt to the history and then invokes the execution logic. It basically triggers the execution logic for the first time. The execution logic might involve invoking an LLM or an internal function, which is a tool. It will do that and then it will yield the result and gets into a pause mode. As soon as the event is yielded back to the runner, it processes the event, which could include updating the session history or putting that in the long-term storage or long-term memory, and then updating the user. Once it is done, it comes back to the execution logic and resumes the invocation, resumes the execution. So now the custom logic that you have written as a part of agent will continue to execute, and in the next step it might get another response. For example, this time the tool invocation is done. It has now invoked the LLM for the second time with the tool response. Now it has the final outcome that can be sent to the user. Now it sends it back to the runner and again gets into the pause mode. The runner picks up this event, processes that, and then sends it back to the user, optionally through streaming event. Now throughout this, the runner is responsible for updating the state. End of the day, the runner is a state machine that is responding to changes to the state done at the execution logic level. Now to understand this loop better, let's take a look at this. So the circle in the blue that you're seeing is the orchestrator or the actual runtime, the runner. Now this can be invoked using two different mechanisms. The first one is the user interacting with the agent for the first time, or this could be an event that is an output of the yield coming from the execution logic. Now, irrespective of where it is triggered, think of the runner as the orchestrator, and this is where the process actually starts. So if it is the first time, the user sends a prompt, or a system sends a prompt, an external system, and the runner will execute the logic written by you. The logic gets executed and it results in some kind of an event that is yielded, and it is sent back to the runner, and the execution logic is put on a pause mode. In the second turn of events, the runner will resume the logic, and this time it could be invoking a tool or invoking an LLM, it doesn't matter, but it results in another event which is yielded by the execution logic. It comes back to the process and it again gets into pause mode. But how long will this loop continue? How long does this really run? Well, as long as there is an event to process, this loop continues to execute. Finally, when the last LLM call is made and when there is no more yield output or outcome from the logic, the runner will stop the entire loop, and that's where the agent is completely done. There are no more events to process, no more results to manage, and the runner now halts the entire loop. It comes to the done state, the final one. So let me give you an example of this using a familiar use case that we have seen in the previous module, the agent event loop when there is tool calling involved. Let's say we build an agent that has exactly one tool, and that is called the get weather tool. So we send a prompt to the agent on asking what is the weather in Seattle. It first directly goes to the runner, and the runner will add the prompt, which is what's the weather in Seattle, to the conversation history, updates the state, and then the cycle 1 starts. It invokes the agent, which is your custom logic. So the custom logic will find the available tools and sends the available tools and the actual function call to the LLM. So the LLM will come back with the exact function that it needs to call, and that is sent to the runner. The runner processes that and saves and asks the agent to resume. Now the agent picks up the thread and it continues with executing get weather with Seattle, because that's what the LLM has asked it to do. Now the tool comes back with an output, and again the agent yields this result, and the runner gets into a pause mode. The runner actually asks the agent to be in a pause mode. So the runner now processes, commits this, and resumes the agent. This time the agent has the entire output, so it calls the LLM along with the tool result, and the LLM comes back with the response, which is Seattle is 65 degrees and cloudy. Now this is again yielded to the runner, and the agent is in a pause mode. This time the runner receives the event, it saves it, it processes, updates the user, and since there are no more events to process, it actually halts the entire thing and it is done. So this is how the agent event loop executes or works. This is a very interesting mechanism. So think of the engine as the runtime as the engine, and the code that you write as various parts of the engine that you are assembling yourself. But the engine is responsible for running the entire show. All right, once you are done with building the agent, then you have three deployment choices. The good news is the agent is packaged as a container, and this container can be deployed to one of the two managed services of Google Cloud. The first one is the Vertex AI Agent Engine, which is the managed service and responsible for a very scalable runtime. If you are comfortable, you can even deploy to the serverless Cloud Run service with one command. And if you want to run it on-prem or in a self-hosted environment, like a GKE cluster or a bare metal Kubernetes cluster running on-prem, or just as a Docker host, you can target that as the unmanaged environment, which is a self-hosted, self-managed runtime. So these are the three choices. So to summarize, you have the runner, which is the orchestrator, the execution logic that you are responsible to write. Then there are a set of services supporting the entire agent runtime. And then there are persistent storage services like object storage and relational databases that come into the play to primarily persist and retrieve the state history or long-term memory. And there is a loop that continuously runs till the agent finishes its job and there are no more events to process. So that completes the big picture of agent. I hope you found this useful, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow the playlist that I am leaving the link below. And you will be able to code along some of the labs, some of the demos that I'm going to show in the upcoming sessions. Thanks for watching.